Dear listeners, I welcome you to my channel. Leave your comments and impressions, I value your opinion. The morning sun filters through the blinds, casting pale stripes of light across the room. Jason Harper stands at the window, looking out over the city he once loved. The hum of traffic, the distant sirens, and the rhythmic beat of life outside his apartment feel alien now, as if he's been transported to another world. His phone buzzes on the kitchen counter, breaking his reverie. It's a text from the hospital. Dr. Sinclair, your wife is ready to be discharged today. Please settle the remaining balance at the front desk. Jason's heart skips a beat. He turns away from the window, his mind racing. It's been months since he first heard the diagnosis, a rare and aggressive form of leukemia. Without treatment, Melissa would have been gone in a matter of weeks. He didn't think twice. Selling the house, liquidating their savings, emptying every account they had, it was all worth it to save her. He grabs his coat and heads out the door, each step echoing the enormity of his decision. The elevator ride down feels interminable, the bright lights of the hospital lobby almost blinding. He signs the necessary paperwork and hands over his last credit card, the magnetic strip nearly worn through from use. Melissa is waiting in a wheelchair, her once vibrant eyes now dull and weary. But she's alive, and that's what matters. Jason forces a smile as he approaches. Ready to go home? He asks softly. She nods, her expression unreadable. The nurse helps her into the car, and soon they're driving back to the apartment, their new home after selling their suburban house. Jason glances at Melissa, searching for any sign of the woman she used to be. I'm glad you're feeling better, he says, his voice thick with emotion. Thank you, she replies, but her tone is distant, detached. Back at the apartment, Jason helps Melissa to the couch, then heads to the kitchen to fix her something to eat. As he prepares a simple meal, his mind drifts to the sacrifices he made, the life they left behind. He shakes his head, trying to banish the doubts that creep in. He did the right thing. He had to save her. Later that evening, as they sit in silence, Melissa's phone buzzes. She picks it up, her face lighting up with a smile Jason hasn't seen in months. Who is it? He asks, trying to keep his voice casual. Just a friend, she replies, but she quickly puts the phone away, her smile fading. Jason doesn't press further. He wants to believe her, needs to believe her. He heads to the bedroom, leaving Melissa alone with her thoughts. Hours later, after tossing and turning, Jason decides to get a glass of water. As he steps into the hallway, he hears Melissa's voice, soft, hushed, but unmistakably happy. He stops, his heart pounding in his chest. I know. I missed you too, she says, her voice carrying a lightness it hasn't had in months. Yes, soon. I just need to settle some things here. Jason feels a cold chill run down his spine. He steps closer, trying to hear more, but the conversation ends abruptly. He retreats to the bedroom, his mind racing. Was she talking to one of her old lovers? He thought they were past this. He thought the illness had brought them closer, made them realize what truly mattered. The next morning, Jason wakes up early, determined to put his fears to rest. He pours a cup of coffee and sits across from Melissa, who looks better today, more alive. I was thinking, he begins, choosing his words carefully, maybe we should take a trip, just the two of us. Somewhere quiet, to help you recover. Melissa looks at him, her eyes narrowing slightly. I don't think that's a good idea right now, Jason. I have a lot to catch up on. Catch up on what? You need to rest, Mel. You've been through a lot. She sighs, running a hand through her hair. I know, but there are things I need to do. People I need to see. Jason's stomach knots. Like who? Friends, Jason, just friends. The tension between them is palpable. A chasm that seems to widen with every passing moment. Jason nods, forcing a smile. All right, just don't overdo it, okay? I won't, she replies, but her eyes are already distant, her mind elsewhere. Days turn into weeks, and Jason notices Melissa's absences more frequently. She goes out often, always with the excuse of meeting friends or running errands. Jason tries to stay busy, but the doubts gnaw at him. One evening, he decides to follow her, needing to know the truth. He trails her to a small cafe across town. She meets a man, someone Jason recognizes from their past, a former lover. They laugh. They touch hands, and Jason's heart shatters. He watches them for a while, unable to move, unable to think. Then he turns and walks away, the weight of his sacrifice crushing him. Back at the apartment, Jason waits for Melissa to return. When she finally does, she finds him sitting in the dark, his eyes red-rimmed from tears he refuses to let fall. Jason, what's wrong? She asks, her voice filled with feigned concern. I saw you, he says, his voice barely above a whisper. With him. Her face hardens, and for a moment, he sees a flash of guilt. But it's gone as quickly as it appeared. Jason, it's not what you think. Isn't it? I gave up everything for you, Melissa. Everything, and you're still seeing him? She sighs, shaking her head. I'm grateful, Jason. I really am. But I can't just stop living my life. Living your life? You mean lying and cheating? Jason, please, you're overreacting. Overreacting, he echoes, his voice rising. I sold our house. I emptied our accounts. I did everything to save you, and this is how you repay me. Melissa looks at him, her eyes cold. I never asked you to do that. The words hit him like a slap. He stands there, stunned, as she turns and walks to the bedroom. I'm tired, Jason. We'll talk about this later. He stands in the living room, his mind a whirl of anger, hurt, and betrayal. He knows he can't go on like this, can't keep pretending everything is okay. As the night wears on, he makes a decision. He will find a way to make things right, to reclaim his life, and to ensure that Melissa faces the consequences of her actions. Karma, he thinks, has a way of catching up to everyone, and Melissa's time is coming. Jason wakes up the next morning feeling the weight of the previous night's confrontation. Melissa is already gone, her side of the bed cold and empty. He sits up, rubbing his eyes, and resolves to confront the truth head-on. He won't be a victim any longer. At work, Jason confides in his colleague and close friend Sarah. She's been his rock through the past months, always there with a supportive word or a listening ear. Today, he needs her more than ever. Sarah, I need to talk, he says, closing the door to her office. She looks up from her computer, concern etched across her face. What's wrong, Jason? He takes a deep breath, his voice trembling. I followed Melissa last night. She was with him again. Sarah's eyes widen. What? After everything you've done for her? Jason nods, his hands clenching into fists. She doesn't care, Sarah, she admitted it. She said she's grateful but won't stop seeing her lovers. Sarah stands up, crossing the room to hug him. I'm so sorry, Jason. You don't deserve this. He pulls away, determination hardening his features. I need your help. I can't do this alone. Of course. What do you need? I need to know the truth. All of it. I want to find out who else she's been seeing and why she's doing this. Sarah nods, her expression resolute. We'll figure this out together, but be careful, Jason. This could get messy. As the day progresses, Jason and Sarah devise a plan. Sarah suggests hiring a private investigator to gather evidence. Reluctantly, Jason agrees. He contacts an old acquaintance, Mike Harrison, a former cop turned PI. Mike meets them in a small, dimly lit bar later that evening. He's a burly man with a no-nonsense attitude, and he listens intently as Jason explains the situation. All right, Jason, Mike says, leaning back in his chair. I'll take the case, but you need to prepare yourself for what I might find. It could be ugly. I know, Jason replies, his voice steady, but I need to know the truth. Over the next few weeks, Jason waits anxiously for updates from Mike. Meanwhile, Melissa's behavior becomes increasingly erratic. She spends more nights out, coming home in the early hours of the morning, her excuses growing thinner by the day. One evening, Jason is sitting in the living room, staring blankly at the TV when his phone buzzes. It's a text from Mike. Mike, I have some information. Meet me at the usual spot. Jason's heart races as he grabs his coat and heads out the door. The usual spot is a secluded park on the outskirts of town. When he arrives, Mike is already there, leaning against a lamppost, a thick folder in his hands. Thanks for meeting me, Jason says, his voice taut with anticipation. Mike nods and hands him the folder. This is everything I've found. It's worse than you thought. Jason opens the folder, his eyes scanning the pages of photographs, text messages, and financial records. Melissa's infidelity is extensive, involving multiple lovers and a web of deceit that stretches back years. He feels a mix of anger and betrayal as he flips through the evidence. How could she do this? He mutters, more to himself than to Mike. People can be complicated, Mike says quietly. But you deserve better, Jason. What are you going to do? Jason closes the folder, his mind racing. I'm going to confront her. But first, I need to protect myself. Can you help me with that? Mike nods. I can. We'll make sure you have everything you need. Jason spends the next few days preparing for the inevitable confrontation. He consults with a lawyer, secures his finances, and makes arrangements to stay with Sarah if things go south. All the while, he keeps up the facade of normalcy, waiting for the right moment to strike. Finally, the night arrives. Melissa comes home late, her eyes flashing with annoyance when she sees Jason waiting for her in the living room. "We need to talk," he says, his voice calm but firm. "Not now, Jason. I'm tired," she snaps, heading for the bedroom. He follows her, blocking her path. "No, Melissa. We're talking now." She glares at him, crossing her arms. "What is it then?" Jason takes a deep breath, his hands trembling as he holds up the folder. "I know everything. All the lies, the cheating. I have proof." Melissa's face pales, but she quickly recovers, her eyes narrowing. "So what? You think you can just accuse me and that's it?" "I don't think, Melissa. I know. I've given up everything for you, and this is how you repay me. With betrayal?" Her expression turns cold, her voice dripping with disdain. "You made those choices, Jason, not me. I never asked you to save me." Jason's heart aches with the finality of her words, but he stands his ground. "I may have made those choices, but now I'm making a new one. I'm leaving you." She laughs, a harsh, bitter sound. "And where will you go?" "You have nothing left." "I have more than you think," he replies, his voice steady, "and I'm taking back my life. Without you." As he walks away, the weight of his decision lifts slightly, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. He knows the road ahead will be difficult, but with the support of friends like Sarah and the determination to rebuild, he's ready to face whatever comes next. Melissa watches him go, a storm of emotions swirling in her eyes. But Jason doesn't look back. He steps out into the night, ready to reclaim his future and let karma take care of the rest. Jason spends his first night away from Melissa in Sarah's spare bedroom. The room is small but cozy, a stark contrast to the emotional turmoil he feels. He lies awake, staring at the ceiling, thoughts racing. The weight of his decision to leave Melissa is heavy, but a sense of relief begins to seep in. He knows there's no turning back now. The next morning, Jason meets Sarah in the kitchen. She's already brewing coffee, the rich aroma filling the air. She gives him a warm smile, but her eyes reflect her concern. "How did you sleep?" she asks, handing him a mug. Jason shrugs, taking a sip. "Barely. But I feel better being here. Thank you, Sarah. I don't know what I would do without you." She places a comforting hand on his shoulder. "You find a way. You're stronger than you think." Jason nods, trying to muster a smile. "I need to figure out my next steps. I can't stay here forever." "Take your time," Sarah replies. "You can stay as long as you need." Just then, Jason's phone buzzes with a message from Mike. "Mike, I have more information. Meet me at the park this afternoon." Jason's heart skips a beat. He knows this meeting could be crucial. "I have to meet Mike later. He says he has more information." Sarah's expression turns serious. "Be careful, Jason. Whatever it is, you're not alone in this." As the day progresses, Jason tries to distract himself by helping Sarah around the house. They clean, organize, and even cook together, their camaraderie a soothing balm to his frayed nerves. But his mind keeps drifting back to Melissa, to the betrayal, and to what Mike might have uncovered. When the time comes, Jason heads to the park, his stomach in knots. Mike is waiting for him on a bench, the thick folder from before now accompanied by a laptop. "Jason," Mike greets him with a nod. "Sit down, we need to talk." Jason sits, his eyes locked on Mike. "What did you find?" Mike opens the laptop and brings up a series of photos and documents. "Melissa's affairs are more extensive than we thought. She's been siphoning money from your accounts to fund her lifestyle with these other men." Jason's blood runs cold. "How much?" "A significant amount," Mike replies. "She's been careful, but I traced several transfers and withdrawals." Jason's hands clench into fists. "That money was for her treatment, for us to start over." Mike nods. "I know. But there's more. One of the men she's been seeing is involved in some shady dealings. This isn't just about infidelity anymore. It's dangerous." Jason's mind races. "What kind of dealings?" "Money laundering, fraud, maybe even something more serious. I don't have all the details yet, but you need to be cautious. This could get ugly." Jason feels a mix of anger and fear. "What do I do?" "First, secure what's left of your finances. Make sure Melissa can't access anything else. Then consider going to the authorities. This is bigger than just your relationship. Jason nods, determination hardening his resolve. Thank you, Mike. I'll take it from here. Back at Sarah's apartment, Jason tells her everything. She's horrified but supportive, helping him secure his accounts and gather the necessary documentation. We should go to the police, Sarah insists. You can't handle this alone. Jason hesitates, but he knows she's right. Okay. Let's go. At the police station, they meet with Detective Ramirez, a seasoned officer with a no-nonsense attitude. Jason explains the situation, showing the evidence Mike gathered. Detective Ramirez listens intently, her expression growing grimmer by the minute. This is serious, Mr. Harper. We'll need to investigate further, but I advise you to stay vigilant. If what you say is true, your wife and her associates could be very dangerous. Jason nods, feeling the weight of her words. I understand. I just want this nightmare to end. As they leave the station, Sarah squeezes his hand. You did the right thing, Jason. You're going to get through this. Days turn into weeks as the investigation progresses. Jason focuses on rebuilding his life, finding a new apartment and starting therapy to deal with the emotional fallout. Sarah remains by his side, a constant source of strength and encouragement. One evening, as Jason is unpacking boxes in his new place, his phone rings. It's Detective Ramirez. Mr. Harper, we've made some progress, she says. We've arrested several individuals linked to your wife's activities. We need you to come down to the station to identify some of the evidence. Jason agrees, his heart pounding. When he arrives, he's led to a room where several items are laid out on a table. Among them are documents, photos, and personal belongings that tie Melissa to the criminal activities. This is everything? Jason asks, his voice shaking. Not quite, Ramirez replies. We're still looking for your wife. She's gone into hiding, but we have leads. We believe she's still in the city. Jason feels a mix of relief and dread. The woman he once loved has become a fugitive, and he's caught in the middle of a dangerous game. Leaving the station, he meets Sarah outside. They're still looking for her, he says, his voice hollow. We'll find her, Sarah reassures him, and you'll get the closure you need. Jason nods, though he knows the road ahead is long and fraught with challenges. As he walks back to his car, he resolves to stay strong, to rebuild his life from the ashes of betrayal, and to let karma do its work. Jason sits in his new apartment, staring at the blank walls. The events of the past months have left him drained, but there's a glimmer of hope that justice will prevail. Detective Ramirez's words echo in his mind. We believe she's still in the city. He knows Melissa's capture is imminent, but the wait is excruciating. His phone buzzes, pulling him from his thoughts. It's a message from Sarah. Sarah, can we talk? It's urgent. Jason immediately feels a pang of anxiety. He grabs his jacket and heads to Sarah's apartment, his mind racing with possibilities. When he arrives, Sarah greets him with a worried expression. Jason, come in. We need to talk, she says, leading him to the living room. What's going on? Jason asks, sensing the tension in the air. Sarah takes a deep breath. I got a call from Mike. He's found something new. Melissa's been in contact with some dangerous people. They're planning something big, and we need to act fast. Jason's heart pounds in his chest. What do you mean, something big? Mike didn't give details over the phone, but he wants us to meet him at his office. He thinks it's urgent. Without wasting another moment, Jason and Sarah head to Mike's office. The ride is tense, filled with unspoken fears and doubts. When they arrive, Mike greets them with a grim expression. Thanks for coming, he says, motioning for them to sit. I've uncovered something alarming. Melissa's associates are planning a heist, an armed robbery at a high-end jewelry store. They're desperate, and they need the money to disappear. Jason feels a chill run down his spine. When is this happening? Tomorrow night, Mike replies. We need to inform the police, but we also need to ensure Melissa is caught in the act. It's the only way to tie her to the crimes and ensure she doesn't slip away again. Jason nods, feeling a mix of fear and determination. What's the plan? We set a trap, Mike says, his eyes narrowing. We'll work with Detective Ramirez to have the place staked out. When they make their move, we'll be ready. The next 24 hours are a blur of preparations and tension. Detective Ramirez coordinates the stakeout, ensuring the jewelry store is monitored from every angle. Jason, Sarah, and Mike are positioned nearby, ready to witness the unfolding events. As night falls, the city seems unusually quiet. Jason's nerves are on edge, every sound amplified in the stillness. Finally, just past midnight, a black van pulls up outside the jewelry store. Jason's breath catches as he recognizes Melissa among the masked figures that emerge. "They're here," Mike whispers into his earpiece, alerting the police. The group moves quickly, breaking into the store with practiced efficiency. Jason watches, his heart pounding, as Melissa directs the operation with cold precision. The police move in silently, surrounding the building. "On my mark." Detective Ramirez's voice crackles through the earpiece. 3, 2, 1, go. Chaos erupts as the police storm the store. Shouts and gunfire pierce the night, and Jason's heart lurches with fear. He watches helplessly, praying for a swift resolution. Moments later, the police emerge, dragging the culprits into the street. Jason's eyes lock onto Melissa, her face a mask of defiance. As she's pushed into a squad car, their eyes meet. For a brief moment, he sees a flicker of something: regret, fear, or perhaps just the realization of her downfall. Back at the station, Jason and Sarah wait anxiously as Detective Ramirez processes the suspects. Hours later, she approaches them, her expression tired but triumphant. "We got them," she says. "Melissa and her associates are in custody. They'll face charges for the robbery and their other crimes." Jason feels a wave of relief, but it's tinged with sadness. "What happens now?" "Now we build the case," Ramirez replies. "With the evidence we have, they won't be able to escape justice." As they leave the station, Sarah squeezes Jason's hand. "You did it, Jason. You're free now." Jason nods, feeling the weight lift from his shoulders. "Thanks to you and Mike, I couldn't have done it alone." Over the next few weeks, life begins to normalize. Jason starts a new job, slowly rebuilding his life from the ground up. He finds solace in therapy, confronting the emotional scars left by Melissa's betrayal. Sarah remains a constant presence, their bond growing stronger through their shared ordeal. One evening, as they sit on Sarah's balcony, watching the sunset, Jason feels a sense of peace he hasn't known in years. "You've come a long way," Sarah says, her voice soft. "I'm proud of you." Jason smiles, feeling the warmth spread through him. "I couldn't have done it without you, Sarah. You've been my rock." She blushes, looking away. "You deserve happiness, Jason. Don't let anyone take that from you again." As the weeks turn into months, the trial of Melissa and her associates captures the city's attention. The courtroom is packed as the prosecution lays out the case, the evidence damning and irrefutable. Jason testifies, recounting the betrayal and deceit, his voice steady and resolute. In the end, justice is served. Melissa is sentenced to a lengthy prison term, her reign of manipulation and crime brought to an end. As she's led away, Jason feels a mixture of closure and sorrow. He once loved her deeply, but that love is now a distant memory, replaced by a sense of finality. Life moves on, and so does Jason. With Sarah by his side, he finds a new rhythm, a new purpose. The scars remain, but they are a testament to his strength and resilience. He knows the road ahead won't be easy, but he's ready to face it, one step at a time. As he stands on the balcony one evening, looking out over the city, he feels a sense of hope. The future is uncertain, but it's his to shape. And with the support of true friends and the lessons learned from his past, he's ready to embrace whatever comes next.